Hello and welcome to Immediate Immersion Live. Today we're going to be talking about Flip.com and how to build community with your students through Flip.com. My name is Scott, and we're all about talking about comprehensible input in the modern language classroom. We'll be right back. Hello and welcome back. So today we're going to be talking about Flip.com. Flip.com is a great free app by Microsoft that allows students to record video. And I like that because I can see their face and I can hear them talk in the target language at the same time. Now, I learned about this during the pandemic, and it worked so well that I decided that I was going to keep using it post-pandemic. So what's great about it is, I said, it's a free app from Microsoft that kids can go to. I create accounts for them within classes, and then I give them some kind of prompt for them to do each time that they do one. I usually assign one once a week. Now, why do I use Flip.com? Why is it so good for me? Well, what I love about it is, first of all, I struggle with names. It's really, really difficult for me to remember names, not just of my students, but names in general of things. And so one thing that I can do, and I'm learning their names by watching these videos. As they talk, the name is below them, and I can see their names. And one of the first activities I have them do is introduce themselves at the beginning of the school year. So they'll tell me their name, their age, maybe a favorite color, some couple of other questions depending on the level. And I can use that information to help learn their names and learn something about them. The second reason that I like using it is it builds community. I can have kids watch other kids' videos and reply to those on certain activities. I don't do that often, but I have that opportunity. So if I want kids to watch someone else's video and make comments and have a discussion about something, that's very doable in Flip.com. And the third reason I really like it is I really get a sense for a student's speaking ability. Prior to Flip.com, we would do 2 or 3 speaking assessments per grading period, and that really just isn't enough to get an overall sense of a student's speaking ability. I can hear the words that come out of their mouth, but I really can't get a full sense of comfortability with the language, confidence with the language. All of those things come through better in Flip.com, especially if I'm assigning one of these a week. Over 10 or 12 weeks, I get a really good idea for what they can do. In the classroom setting, they're always more nervous than they are at home. So I have to think about that when I'm giving them assessments as well. And they try to get it done as quickly as possible. And so I just don't get the full sense of what they're able to do. So those are my 3 big reasons for why I use it. Now, how do I use Flip.com? Well, I'm not really big on giving homework, so I give this one assignment a week. And it takes kids, literally, it should take them less than 2 or 3 minutes to complete. I'm asking for them to usually answer a question or state 3 things about something, but it really does not take a long time. They log into the website on their phone or on their Chromebook. They can use their webcam or their phone camera. They record their video. It's usually less than 30 seconds long, and then they move on. That's all that they have to do. It's nothing really, really complicated. But the things I like to usually have my kids do is mainly an exit ticket. So we all are familiar with exit tickets, and these are usually paper things that kids write about things that they learned that day, or answering 3 questions or something to that effect, and they turn it in at the end of the class period as evidence of their learning for the day. I do the same thing digitally. So often we have a conversation question of the week, so I might have them answer the conversation question. Or if we're reading a novel, I can have them tell me, 3 things that happened in the novel that we read today. Or if we had some kind of discussion or some other activity, I can have them tell me 3 things that happened in class today. Any of those things are very valid. Now, so those are the types of questions that I ask them. And I can use the information in a variety of ways. So I can grade each one that they turn in as a homework grade. And in our school, those go under learning behaviors, work completion. So I can do that. But I can also use them as a formative assessment for speaking, like a speaking quiz. I can look at them over time by a student. So I can see them not only by class, but I can look it up by student and look through maybe 6, 7, 8, 9 of them per student and get an idea of how well they can speak and give them a quiz grade based on that. So that's another way that I can use the information from flip.com. I can also use it for discussions. So I might have a discussion question. I'll have the students answer that question. And then I want them to respond to each other through video. So they can reply to them through video and give them some kind of encouragement or ask a follow-up question or something like that. You can also I do this with my the first ones of the year, where I will have students go ahead and introduce themselves, and then I might have my students go and say, I want you to watch 3 other students' videos and comment on them. Or I can pick a star of the week, or maybe 2 or 3 of them, have them record a personal video, and then I could have students ask them follow-up questions to what they provided in those videos, and then they can, the students can respond to that. And so we get a discussion going in the target language through video using flip.com. So those are some great ways that you can use flip.com. Has anybody used flip.com in their class before? If you have, let me know in the comments. While you're thinking about that, let me go ahead and give you some flip.com ideas, things that you can have students do on flip.com, because it is so varied, all the things you can do. So as I said, one thing is the exit tickets. Anything that you would have a written exit ticket do, you can have them do orally and through video. That's one. You can have them answer comprehension questions. So, I'm sorry, not comprehension, conversation questions. So I have a whole list of like wacky questions that I ask my students every week. Today's, Catalina says she uses Flipgrid. Awesome. Let us know how you use it in the comments, Catalina. So she uses it in her classroom, which is awesome. And I just forgot what I was saying about the flip.com. The conversation questions. So today's conversation questions in my level 1 class. What did we ask them in my level 1 class? I have to come back to that one. I can't remember. It was so long ago. It's my first period. In my Spanish 2 classes, I asked them what was their least favorite holiday. In my Spanish 3s, I asked them if they could get rid of any invention throughout history, what would they get rid of? Jen asks, hey Scott, I'm thinking about using Flipgrid. How much does it cost monthly? It is a free app. Microsoft puts it out and it doesn't cost anything to use. I don't even think there is a plus plan to upgrade to. I think it's just 100% free. So it's an awesome app to use for that. Yep, absolutely free. I've never had to pay for it. They've never asked me for any money. And as I said, I don't even think there's an upgradable version. So we have the crazy conversation questions. We have the exit ticket. Oral book reports is another one where they can talk about their book. Ask them questions. Who's the author? What's the title? Give a short summary on the flip.com. You can also have them do like a book trailer. So they can record a little advertisement for the book. Absolutely, it's cool. So book trailers are really, it's just like a movie trailer, but for the book to help other kids get interested in books they might not have otherwise thought of. So that's a great thing. So you've got book reports, book trailers, show and tell. I haven't done this year with my students yet, but I'm planning on doing it very soon, where students will then do show and tell on flip.com, where they're going to record just a little talking about whatever item or thing or pet or whatever they want to show and tell in the target language. We'll watch them in class, and then we can ask them some follow-up questions about that. So that's another way that you can use flip.com. So we've gotten show and tell, book reports, book trailers, exit tickets, the conversation questions, introductions, especially at the beginning of the year or new semester if you change students. Have them all introduce themselves on flip.com. Now you can have them then go back and have students respond to 3 or 4 other students, or you can show everybody's video in class and then people can ask follow-up questions live that way. This way, students get to know not only their fellow students, but they get a chance to ask them some more questions and hear some more comprehensible input along the way. And if you do this, you need to give a video of yourself as well. You need to, at the same time, have the example video so they get to know you as well. I have been teaching for over 20 years. So we have those particular ideas. The other thing is, especially with your upper levels, you can have discussions on here. Give a discussion question that you record on there so they can watch the video, and then they make comments to those and then comment on other people's comments all through video instead of text. This is a great way to have some discussions about maybe some cultural things or some thematic things that came up in class or in a novel. It's a great way to have some more discussion, and kids can think about it a little bit more without being the pressure of it in class at the same time. Now, I don't usually do this very often because students can use Google Translate or read off of a list or off of a paper. But you can have them record speaking quizzes on flip.com. Whenever I've done this, it's always been in class. So I'll have the kids spread out just outside my room in the hallway. They'll spread out, and then they'll record theirs right then so I can monitor that they're not on Google Translate and that they're not reading off of a text. I would never give that kind of an assignment at home that I would be using as a summative type grade in the grade book, because I don't know if they use Google Translate along the way or if they're actually reading. What do you mean by long-term effects of flip? I don't understand the question there. So that's another way that you can do it for assessments, because some people like to record the speaking assessments, and this is one way to do that. And it's more visual, so you can see their facial expressions, you can see their comfort level with the language, and then you can just get a better feel and a better sense of their confidence with the language when you're using videos. Okay, I understand the words you're using. What are some long-term effects of flip? But I don't know what you mean by long-term effects. I'm sorry, I just don't understand what the question that you're asking. So, those are some things that I do on my flip. Now, I'm not going to show you all the details of my flip because I don't want to expose my students, but I can show you some things. So I'm going to switch over here to the screen share. And here's one of my classes. And I make all my classes have a spot. What are the learning benefits of flip? Okay, that's a much more sense question. So kids get to practice with the language and feeling more confident with the language because they're speaking it more frequently without the stress of being in the classroom. Number two, if you're having them interact with students on the video, then they're also getting more comprehensible input. They're hearing kids speak and they're having to respond to that and form their own respond in their own language. So here you can see the different topics I have for my Spanish 3. So we're reading Vida y Muerte en la Madre Salvatrucha. So they have, the summaries. They have to give me 3 things about chapter 1, or 3 things about chapter 2, or 3 things about chapter 3. We did a opening unit to get the kids interested and learn more about the book. We did a little cultural lesson on La Madre Salvatrucha gang, as well as the Guerra Civil, the Civil War in El Salvador. But then I have, here's some conversation question ones. How many sloths fit in your bedroom? What smell would you eliminate if you could? When we did a movie talk on Car Park, I had them tell me 3 things about the video that we watched. Mythical creatures. What creature would they choose to be if they could? So I've got lots of different ones in here. Things I'm afraid of. If you had a hippopotamus. So those are different ones. And then, as I said, I've got one for every single class. And you can click into each one of these, and then they show you all of the students. So those are the basics of flip.com and what you can do with flip.com. I highly suggest, if you're not trying it, that you do try it. It's extremely useful for you and for students, and I think that it helps you do all kinds of great things with your class. You can hear about your what's going on with your students, ask them about their weekend, things like that, and you can get a good sense of what your students are able to do with speaking in the language. So are there any questions or any other ideas that any of you who use flip.com, if there's any things that you do that differently or you can add to, let me know in the comments. Okay, I don't see anything coming up. So with that, we will stop here. Next time, we're going to be talking about some follow-up activities that you can do with stories or readings. Once you've done a story with your class or you've done a reading with your class, some follow-up activities that you can do with your students to expand their learning and their comprehension of the text or the story that you asked in class. So we'll do that next week, Monday, 5 p.m. Pacific. Until then, I will see you all later. Have a great one.